So that a lot of that is just about the background, the mechanisms, how can it be adopted, how can it become a standard in our industry, why is it likely to be successful. I think once people start to absorb that and go, okay, this might really be the one, this might really be the time that things work, the next questions they have are, well, how's it going to make my life better? What features is it going to deliver for me? In what ways will I be able to work with the equipment I'm used to working with that will be superior to the ways that I did that in the past? And I personally tend to think of those ways, I think there's a lot of ways, by the way, and I think of those ways in 3 different categories. And these are the 3 categories that are on this slide now. The first category is really the simplest one. It's about making connections between devices. And you might be wondering, well, we can make connections between devices today. We run analog cables, sometimes we run digital cables. We can even run lots of signals over, say, a MADI connection, and we can get an awful lot of digital audio from one place to the other doing that. How is it going to improve it? The key difference is that the connections that AVB will allow us to make are network-style connections. So the advantages of that mean they're much more flexible than point-to-point cabling. And you don't have to think through 100% correctly in advance of running the cabling exactly which signals will need to go between which devices. And that's very important in all kinds of arenas. Sometimes you discover that actually you need to get just one more signal to one other location that you hadn't originally laid in cable for. If you built it into an installation, it can be a huge deal to pull extra cabling. Even if you're in a portable live sound application like concert touring, it's just another cable that needs to be run somewhere. But once you get all the devices on the network, it's as simple as discovering those devices and asking them to create another connection between them in order to achieve that. So you can keep the cost lower, you can run less cable, you can have a faster setup time, you can have greater on-the-fly flexibility about which connections you make between devices, and you can change that when you need to. And those are all pretty key things. And then on top of all of that, you can make the process of splitting and sharing signals, which is another key thing that we end up doing when we start to run cables between devices just to make connections. You can make that process much easier, which means you've got more opportunities to repurpose those signals, share them between different devices, record them or play them back, and shuttle them around within the network that you've built. The second category, after you've kind of dealt with all of the advantages of making connections, is that you get to monitor what's happening with the network. And sometimes that's just about confidence. It's just sort of knowing, I spent a long time putting together this complicated system. I can't be everywhere at once and listen to the output from the system everywhere or look at the output from the system everywhere, but I would like to have some confidence that it's still operating all the time. Networks are excellent at doing that. They can deliver you ongoing data, they can flag failures, they can tell you about partial failures when a device has gone into a backup mode but is still operating so that you can let it run for a while and take action when the next opportunity presents itself. It can tell you about complete failures so you can go and take action straight away. You can monitor that data on-site or off-site. The monitoring capabilities are really going to be a key part, and it's what we have all come to expect, even with computer networks, where first of all we connected computers and we're thrilled with ourselves, and then we realized, well, actually, when my printer is out of paper, I'd like to know that before I've sent something to the printer, walked all the way over to the printer and found out that it didn't print because it doesn't have any paper. So exactly the same benefits will come from the monitoring capabilities in sophisticated audio and video systems. And then the third category of benefits that I think about, and this might be the one that takes the longest to deliver, is the capacity to remote control devices. And that's very exciting. I think being able to control increasingly complex speaker arrays, being able to program devices remotely, those are all things that people want to do today. They're already running very specialized connections to make that happen. It's not uncommon to run a RS-485 or a Cat5 connection to a speaker controller specifically to control that device, but then you'll find yourself doing that again for a different device from a different manufacturer if you want to. The possibility of having all of that control capability at multiple places in the network, and even from some other device that's not related or not from the same manufacturer, is very powerful. I think we'll all get a lot of benefit from that. We'll get the ability to preset entire systems and reconfigure them to do a specific job without having to go and reconfigure each component individually. And that will all save us a great deal of time and give us a lot of capability to serve our customers' needs. And I think that ability to treat a complicated live sound system as if it were a single device is the increasing necessity that we all face, because as systems get more complicated, it becomes unmanageable unless you can ask it to behave like a single system that you can then reconfigure for one task or one purpose or for another. So those are the kind of three categories of features, and I'm sure that as you guys read those bullets, you're thinking about other variations on those ideas that you'll also get. If they can be done by connecting audio or by sending control data, the chances are you'll get them at some point from the manufacturers that are on board with AVB. So when is the other question people ask, how quickly is it going to happen? The process of standardization is well underway with IEEE, and some parts of the standards are already approved. Other parts are in draft form, and some in quite advanced draft form. Several manufacturers are already implementing, and you'll see some of that activity at trade shows. Even at this trade show, you'll see some of the manufacturers in this panel, including Avid, either making public statements about their product line and how they intend to go forward with AVB, or actually implementing stuff and showing demonstrations of stuff working. The AVB community as a whole is gathering momentum pretty quickly. We're excited to see how many companies are interested in joining and how many companies are saying we're actually interested in adopting this technology as well. Certainly, of the different networking standards that I've seen emerge over the last decade or so and make some progress in that respect, I don't remember anyone getting so much support so quickly as AVB, and that really, I think, speaks to the likelihood that it's going to have the critical mass that's necessary to actually make it into a true standard. And there are even AVB-capable products shipping right now. For 18 months, there have been switch devices that are AVB-capable, and the switch devices are made out of components coming from vendors who are supplying about 80% of the components going into the switch chips in the world. So there's actually even a tremendous number of devices that are AVB capable but are not yet being marketed that way because it's not necessary for the, there's not an application necessary yet for the switch manufacturer to target, but they'll be able to switch that on without having to change their hardware in any way because they've been designing in the capability for some time. So that's pretty much my wrap up on what it is. I think we go back to Dan's stewardship to guide us through the rest.
Yep. Thanks, Dave. And